This year is being dedicated to Nishmas Malka Chaya Bas Yaakov Zichronah Livracha. The fascinating thing about this year is when I was contemplating and davening for a title, it then struck me that the shir that Mirz Hashem will share together today is mamish exactly the same shir I gave for Chanukah last year, Wonders of War. And the fascinating thing is that the Mari Makomos are totally different, but the same conclusions, the same upshots, and there must be something about this question and something about the answers that we're going to present, both last year as well as this year, that beg us to focus in on these inyanim, on these ideas. The question I'd like to raise, which is the question we raised last year, is in the Al Hanisim we say Al Hanisim Val Purkan Val Gruos Val Chuos. We thank Hashem for all the wonderful things that He's done for us, the redemption, the mighty deeds, the deliverance, and then we thank Hashem for Al Hamilchamos, for the wars, Shasita Lavotenu Vayimim Ahem Basman Hazeh, that you did for our forefathers in those days at this season. And then we end the Al Hanisim with all of these things that have happened are lahodos ulahalo l'shimcha gadol, to give thanks to you, God. So if the whole idea is to give thanks to Hashem, I can understand to give thanks to Hashem for the nisim, for the niflos, for the purkan, for the yeshuos, for the salvation. But why are we giving thanks to Hashem for the milchamos, for the wars? That's the question that Rosh Hashanah asks in Lev Shalom in source number 4. How do we express the lahalo lahodos? How do we understand the ability to thank Hashem and to give praise to Hashem for the milchamos, for the actual struggle itself? And the other question that Rosh Hashanah asks is, if indeed we're thanking Hashem for the milchamos, and that's the normal God, we're thanking Hashem for the salvation in the wars, but the obvious question is that not included in the purkan and shows? If we indeed have this element of thanking Hashem for the milchamos, for the war, why then don't we have at least one day a chiyuv in Suda? If we were saved physically, should we not have a physical party, a feast? We made simcha and halal, of mishteh, of simcha, of thanking Hashem for the in a physical type of way. And it's interesting, the Tur in source number 3 notes that the customary indulging in feasts on Chanukah is not obligatory, because they are days of Hallel and Hodah, and they're not days of Mishteh and Simcha. And because it is indeed different than Purim, which was completely physical salvation, we don't have this Mishteh and Simcha. But nonetheless, as Rosh Hashanah asks, can we not have one day of a chiyuv, of obligation, because we were saved physically? Those are the questions that Mirz Hashem we're going to work with today. The first approach of the two is found in Jones, where he explains, he notes in source number 4, he says that the Yavanim didn't begin immediately saying you can't learn Torah, you can't keep Shabbos, you can't do bris milah. Rak tiftefu tarbut Yavanit ve'diru b'itiyut hakalah u'filosofia ula'an la'an mashchu et rov ha'am achareihem ad shebetoch am Yisrael jasta tnuat ha'mityanim. The Yavanim, and he describes this very beautifully in source 7, is very much like the way you attack in a physical war. You don't walk into a city and suddenly start shooting on the streets. You first have a matzor, you have a siege around the city, you stop the water from coming in, you stop the food, and then slowly but surely you then begin a frontal attack. And likewise with the spiritual attack, the way the Greeks attacked us was not immediately saying you can't do Shabbos, Milah, Chodesh, Torah. Had they done that, the Jews would have taken to the streets with arms. There were not, he describes in verse 9, and we would have protected ourselves. But rather, they worked ingeniously by first saying to the Jews, you know what, you want to learn Torah? That's fine. As long as he notes in 9, Lashkicham tarasecha. As long as you don't have the Torah of Hashem's Torah, the Torah Hashem. You want to learn Torah like Shara Chachmos. You want to learn it as an intellectual book, as an historical narrative. Gesund to hate. You want to have matzahs on Pesach like you have bagels and lox as a cultural identification? Fine. What they objected to, what they were against in their core, was the passion of Judaism, was the spiritual connection of the Jew to the Ribono Shel Olam, to Hashem. That is Lashkicham Tarasecha. They wanted us to forget Tarasecha, the Torah of Hashem. They wanted us to lose that spiritual component and almost divorce ourselves from the soul within us and make ourselves completely chokhmah beings, purely knowledge, without having it affect who and what we are emotionally and spiritually. And only toward the end